here. So I'm going to begin with the 2-minute opening, and let's start with, for place 4, Fairooz Adams, if you would.
Hello everyone. Thank you to the Flower Mound Republican Club, to the event organizers, to the participants, and also the audience for this debate here this evening. Up and down the ballot, this is a very pivotal year. Now, my involvement in politics, in the district politics, started when I was 15 years old, when our District 1 split our class across 2 different campuses. And with the help of many folks in the community, from teachers and parents, we were actually successful in keeping our class together. And since then, when my civic engagement started, I haven't stopped. So I've actually volunteered on several school board campaigns. I actually see some of the folks here this evening. I've taken part in the strategic design team, and I've always done what I believe is good for the district, and I fought for my folks in my community. And that's something I would like to continue here in our school district. So I believe that because I was in the school district very recently, I went through LISD through elementary school, middle school, and high school. I believe I am uniquely qualified to help out the school board, give them insight into what works and what wouldn't work, so that we do have a stronger board, and that we're able to meet the needs of our residents, of our community, and we have a fiscally responsible board that doesn't adhere to fads, but it sticks to what works, and works with the teachers, and helps teachers, frees teachers to help students pursue their dreams.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Also for place 4 is Catherine Sells. Your 2-minute opening, please.
My name is Catherine Sells, and I wasn't born here in Texas, but I got here as fast as I could. I graduated from high school in Corpus Christi, Texas, and then I moved out of state to get my master's degree. I have an MBA. I came back to the Dallas area. I miss Texas. I came to the Dallas area. I went to work for More Business Forums, a division-ready forum. And then I met my husband, and he's here with me. We've been married almost 24 years. We met in our Bible fellowship class. We discovered that we had a love of God, we had a love of our country, and we had a love of the Republican Party. And it's been 24 years of greatness. We have 2 kids. We have a senior at Hebron High School, and we have an 8th grader at Killian Middle School. After we met and I married, I worked for the city of Dallas. I used my master's degree in that realm. I was part of the property management division. If anybody remembers the 75 Central Expressway expansion, that was my project. I worked with great numbers of budgets. I worked with a great number of people, with the Dallas City Council, with all of our boards. I also was in charge of the Dallas Zoo expansion, and that was quite a budget to handle. We bought the properties around that. My position was to make sure that their rights were not abused in that process, and that's what I did. I did contract compliance monitoring. Chris and I are still members of the church where we met. I currently work there, and we got married on July the 4th. We love this country, and it's a great celebration every year as we celebrate our country's birth and our anniversary. So I believe that I am more than qualified to run in this place. I've also served various volunteers committees on the LISD school.
Thank you, Ms. Sells. For place 5, we have 3 candidates. We'll begin with Will Person for your 2-minute opening.
Hi, I'm Will Person. I know some of you, not all of you. While this is the first attempt that I've made at public office in Flower Mound, I have been very active in the Summit Club for the last 7 or 8 years. In case you don't know, the Summit Club is the oldest civic organization in Flower Mound. Has been serving our local community for over 40 years. When we first moved here in 1991, I was also involved in the North Shore Water Supply Corporation, which was a water supply system before the city took it over for Franklin Hills Edition, up off of High Road at 1171. My wife and I have lived in LISD since 1991. I have 2 daughters, one that lives in Flower Mound, and she has 4 sons. So I have 4 grandsons here that were or are still being educated in LISD. The 2 oldest boys are away at college now. I have one that's a senior and will graduate in a couple of months, and then I'll have one that'll be a junior next year. They're all 2 years apart. We think they got a very fine education with LISD. We're very pleased and satisfied with that. I went to the University of Florida, and well, I grew up in Corpus Christi. My dad was an aircraft mechanic, and they kept shuttling him back and forth between Corpus Christi and Florida. So when it came time to go to school, we happened to be living in Pensacola, and that's where we went. I spent 42 years with Westinghouse Electric, and I was a licensed professional engineer, and we're founding members of the Flower Mound United Methodist Church, and continue to be very active and supporters of that church. And my 2 minutes are up. And I'll tell you more about why I'm running in the closing.
Thank you, Mr. Person. Now the 2-minute opening from Allison Lisson.
Thank you so much. My name is Allison Lisson, and I'm very excited to be a candidate for school board. I'm a native Texan and an Aggie. If anybody else? Okay, thank you. With a long history of conservative values, growing up and attending public school in Tyler, Texas. My husband Lloyd and I have lived in LISD for 17 years. 6 of that was in Louisville, and the past 11 here in Highland Village. We have 2 little boys in elementary school here at Heritage. I really truly believe that LISD is the best school district in North Texas. However, that being said, improvements can still be made here in LISD. I want to make sure that that tradition of excellence is continued, and I believe that I have many skills that make me the best candidate to do that. I worked in city government for 7 years, 2 with the city of Capel, and 5 with the town of Flower Mound. During that time, I was able to truly understand how local government functions, from how the purchasing department works, to writing an agenda item. And I believe that is very important because my learning curve when coming on the school board will be very short because I've already had so much experience with that. But so then you might wonder, why school board? Why not city government? Well, my answer is that the school district is where my passion is. It's where my 2 little boys are, and I will be equally as passionate about the almost, 54,000 other students in our district. I want to make sure. Okay, I'll save the rest for later. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Jenny Brosnick, your 2-minute opening.
Good evening. My name is Jenny Prosnick, and I'm a wife and mother of 2 children that have called LISD home for over 16 years. We need more conservative voices on that board, and that's exactly what I intend to be. I have spent the last 2.5 years attending not only regular meetings, but special meetings and workshops at the school board. 47 meetings in all. I have served in local leadership positions on my local PTAs and the Council of PTAs, the Mayor's Youth Council of Frisco, and currently I sit on the Executive Board of Independence Garden, which is a parent-led organization that partners with the district. I want to work for you. I want standards and systems that bring growth and transparency to our district. I want to make our dual language program more impactful. I want a facilities plan that is fiscally responsible. I want to work with the 13 cities and create better communication of those that LISD serves. I have seen the district all the way from kindergarten to a high school graduation. I have built those relationships. The greatest emotional investment you have is your children, and the greatest monetary investment that you have is your home. And as a taxpayer, you deserve a good return on both. LISD is on the precipice of being a great district, and I want to be that positive force that moves it forward. Those are some of the things that are important to me. I'm looking forward to hearing what's important to you tonight, and I thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Jenny Crosby. Firstly, we'll begin. We'll start with Fairooz Adams. Everyone has 1 minute to answer the questions. First one is, what is the current debt in LISD and what is your plan to pay it off?
The current debt in LISD is a little over $1 billion, and it should be paid off in about 15 years. That's something that we necessarily can't really change, but what we can do is take more fiscally responsible initiatives. For example, we should spend, say, $47 million on buying iPads and MacBooks that don't necessarily have a positive impact on education. And we should necessarily spend money on building a third campus miles away. And then you have additional costs on top of that. Each bus costs between $25,000 and $30,000, and busing people between the 3 campuses in the Louisville system, that is a tremendous expense. So instead of making those kind of decisions where you do have to spend an exorbitant amount of money busing people back and forth between campuses and spending money on things that look great, you get great publicity from them, but I mean, they don't really help students and teachers. We shouldn't spend money on those things. And as a school board member, that's something I would fight against. I would make sure that the things that we do spend money on are impactful, have a positive impact on children's education, and I would ensure that those aren't things that look great on paper, that are great for publicity, because I've been through the system. I've known different fads that people have pushed. I've known how some of those have worked, some of those have failed. And I believe that you need someone like that on the board in the decision-making process so that you don't jump on those kind of decisions.
Thank you. Same question for Catherine Sells.
Fairooz is right. We have $1 billion that will be paid off in 2030. We're currently working with to reduce that by lower interest and ways of that. I agree with Fairooz that we need to be fiscally responsible. We need to look at everything that we spend with fine-tooth comb. I actually led the elementary education facilities assessment team. We walked almost every campus in this school district. We saw what was there, what was needed. I do agree that we need to scrutinize everything that we spend as a school district. This isn't our money. We're responsible for that. We're responsible for our school policies, our curriculum, our expenses, and our expansion. And if the expenses that we have are not giving you all, as Ms. Prosnick said, a great return on what your tax dollars are, and I'm an invested taxpayer. I've owned a home in this district since 1998. And so I want that return. And I want that for my children. I want them to be able to come back to this community and live in a strong school district.
Thank you. Same question for Will Person.
In my house, we're debt-free. If we want to buy something, we look and see if we have any money left over, and we buy it. I don't know if this is possible. Apparently, this is not possible in the federal government, but I'm not sure that I think that an organization like LISD can apply a very similar, at least, to be that many millions of dollars in debt. Out of our taxes, that's all supported by taxes. $1.47 of every $1,000 of evaluation of your property goes to support LISD. And if they can't make ends meet, then maybe we ought to pay $1.52 $1,000 or something. They need to balance that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Same question, Allison Lasson.
Thank you. So several of us were at the school board meeting last night, and they were explaining the bonds will be paid off in 2030. And so that being said, you know, I have a mortgage on our house because we need a place to live. And I also want to make sure that our students and our teachers have what they need to learn. And that means facilities that aren't falling apart, because you know how it is. Your house gets to be 20, 30 years old, you know, you need new floors, you need new windows, stuff like that. So absolutely, we need to spend money wisely and think about what we are spending it on, but sometimes it is necessary to spend a little money to make sure our kids and our teachers have the tools that they need to be successful.
Thank you. Same question, Jenny Prosnick.
Currently, our debt is actually $1.2 billion in LISD. And last year, we paid approximately $118 million on that debt. The debt will be paid off by 2030. Currently, our INS, which is the portion that pays off that debt, is 0.437 per 100. That does not need to change at all. There is no reason for that to change. I'm very confident that the board next month will agree to refinance those bonds at a lower interest rate. So that's not going to happen. At least it wouldn't happen under my watch. The only other thing I want to say on the budget is right now it's $441 million. And we don't get all the money that we're supposed to get because of the way it's set up at the state level. So while we get our M&O, we don't get everything from the state. And so I would encourage you to be advocates for the students and contact your state representatives who actually control our budget a little more than you do.
Thank you. All right, for the next round of questions, we will begin with Catherine Sells. The question is, what are your thoughts on Argyle ISD permitting staff to carry weapons? Sure. What are your thoughts on Argyle ISD permitting staff to carry weapons?
Well, let me say, first of all, I am a believer in the Second Amendment. I believe that we have a right to bear arms. What I would need to weigh as a trustee is also the safety of our children. I would need to have more research put in front of me to allow me to make a decision on whether those being allowed to carry, what is that process? Right now, that is not something that's allowed in LISD. We have policy against that. And I would have to see I would have to see the research that would show that that would actually improve a student's risk for survival. I'll actually say that I went through a local police department's active trainer shooting a couple of months ago, and I did that on my own. And I will tell you that your reflexes in that situation, and we were put in a shooting situation, you don't react like you think you would react. And so I would have to really research that before I make a decision.
Thank you. Same question, Will Person.
I'm inclined to agree with Catherine. I spend quite a bit of time at Argyle, high school, and I'm forced to go up there to run because LISD locks the facilities up. So I go up there, and I've seen that sign quite often about the faculty carrying. It's a double-edged sword. It's if there's guns present, how are they going to react, these faculty members, in a dangerous situation? Might be that just having the guns themselves is going to deter anybody from going in there with weapons trying to do harm. They've not had any problems. We, of course, in Flower Mound haven't had any problems, but it might be that needs to be looked at much closer.
Thank you. Same question, Allison Lassan.
Thank you. That is a very tough question because, of course, I believe everyone has the right to bear arms. But when it comes to our children, we want to keep them protected. But then again, you worry about, some little kid finding the gun. So I would say the same thing with that Catherine did. I would definitely want law enforcement involved in that decision, studies, committees, to kind of see what we wanted, and really to kind of see what the constituents of LISD want. That's kind of, I guess, it.
Thank you. Same question, Jenny Crosby.
I'm also a very big believer in the Second Amendment. I'm also kind of fond of the first one too, some of the others. We have to put children's safety and security first. That's it, bottom line. That's one of the jobs of a trustee in LISD, is to make sure that your children are safe. I would need a lot of reassurance about which faculty members. Are we talking high school, elementary, middle school? I would need some research on it. Currently, we don't allow it. This was actually passed in the legislature, the last legislative session, to allow carry on campus. I do know that they need to be trained. I just would need to see exactly how it would work. I would need to see how it would work with the security systems that we already have in place on our campuses.
Thank you. Same question for Fairooz Adams.
I believe in the Constitution, I believe in the Second Amendment, but at the same time I agree with everyone on the board that our children's safety should be first. And Catherine's right. I mean, there have been studies that have demonstrated that when you are in an active shooter situation, you often don't behave exactly the way you think you will. And if I can take you back to the 2009 example, when that Representative Gabby Gifford, she was shot, there was actually someone there that almost should have shot the representative. So people don't always behave or act the same way in those stressful situations like they think they will. So I would want, if faculty members are trained, I would want them to be intensively trained. I think that there are very few folks that are able to handle those kinds of stressful situations. But at the same time, I understand that you can't always have police officers there fast enough, and police officers are the folks that understand these situations and can do the best in them. So, I am hesitant, but I do want to see more research on this. I don't think there has been enough literature on this, so, instead of ideology or instead of, a knee-jerk reaction one way or the other, I want to see the research and then I can make my decision.
Thank you. We'll begin this round of questions with Will Person, and I think this is the appropriate question. How can we balance public access to school track facilities with the need to secure property?
I didn't write that question. I'll just certainly be glad to address it. LISD has a policy, and it says that the facilities, the recreational facilities that they call it, such as the tennis courts and the tracks and the playgrounds, are to be used by the public anytime the district's not using it or the gates are not locked. But the problem is the gates are always locked if school's not in session, so you cannot use it. I think that there's plenty of ways. I'm a runner. I go to races 2 or 3 times a month, and we always sign a waiver saying that the race director and the sponsors, everybody is not liable in case a car hits me or I drop dead. And so there's ways to allow access without losing control of the facilities. And I made presentations to the LISD and told them that I would be glad to help them draft that policy, and that's why I'm running.
Thank you, Mr. Person. Same question, Allison Lasan.
Okay, it's hard to follow that, but no, honestly, I'm not familiar with that policy, but I guarantee you I would read about it, and my guess is that it was made to keep our facilities in one piece. So, oh, thank you. Look at this. He has it right here. Anyway, my guess is that it was made to keep our facilities in one piece, so to speak, because we all know that sometimes kids, when they're not with their parents, may not behave in a way that we wish they would. But anyway, I also think we're very blessed in Highland Village and in Flower Mound are the ones that I'm most familiar with, to have really great parks facilities in the area. And Mr. Person, I know that Briar Hill, their track is open all the time. There is no fence. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Jenny Prosnick.
How did I know this question was going to come? We have public facilities that are open. There is a process on the LISD website if you would like to use any of our facilities. There's a process. Part of that process is providing insurance for liability. Because as everybody in here knows, there's a lawyer around every corner, and I don't want to spend your good tax dollars fighting lawsuits like that. The second, one of the reasons that they started being locked, they were open for a period of time, was people who are not members of our community, not members of our school, were using our facilities. And they were not being respectful of our facilities. And we were spending your good tax dollars cleaning them up, making them ready for the students and the children they were built for. That's why that policy is in place.
Thank you. Same question, Fairooz Adams.
I understand why many folks would want to see those facilities open. I mean, these are your tax dollars, and they were built with your tax dollars, so of course you would want to see, you would want to be able to use those facilities. At the same time, they do have a specific purpose. They are for students to use when they're in track or football or sports or whatever they're doing. So it is, important for the district to maintain those facilities, and having, people use them over the summer or weekends, that wears those facilities out. There is wear and tear, and that is a cost to the district. And if we're going to be fiscally responsible, then we have to allow students that are using those facilities for proper purposes to use them. But in other times when they're not being used, we have to be careful. There are other avenues through which you can exercise. There are other places that you can go. But not having these facilities open doesn't mean that you won't be able to exercise at all.
Thank you. Same question, Kathy Sells.
Well, I don't believe that it would be Mr. Person that would do the damage, but I have the privilege of being one of the, I think the only panelists up here that's actually worked at a sports and recreation facility. I worked for several years in our church's gift to our community. We built a sports and recreation facility that anybody in our community can come onto. We have to lock. I can't tell you that the major part of my day would be going around, when I was staff on duty, would be going around and stopping the people from doing what they weren't supposed to be doing. Tearing up the facility, our maintenance cost was terribly expensive. 1 hour of play on our fields, if they were too wet, would take our fields out of play for about 3 weeks for the grass to regenerate. It was extremely expensive. And so when you tear up a facility like that, it's not available for our students. Mr. Pearson asked my daughter that, and she didn't have a chance to respond, but when she got in the car, she said, "Oh my goodness, does he know some of the kids I go to school with?" Because no, it doesn't need to be unlocked. So I just think that they're there for the students, and we need to keep them for the students.
Thank you. All right, for the last question before we have closing remarks, we begin with Allison Lasan. Question is, what would LISD want from the legislature in 2017?
Oh, wow. My goodness, that's a big question. Yes, no, I heard someone say this in the audience, but no unfunded mandates. What was that? But there's a lot of things that we could advocate for. One of them in particular that I was concerned with in the last legislative session was the way that special ed monies were spent. Right now, some of them are given to outside agencies for things that I actually think that the school district could perform just as well. In fact, some of them already are doing that. For instance, when a child is diagnosed with autism, one of the main diagnosis is a very expensive therapy that the teachers and behavior interventionists in schools can do just as well.
Thank you. Same question, Jenny Preston.
This is so easy. I want the STAR test gone. I would like it gone day before yesterday, because that is how Common Core is getting into Texas. Because it is written by Pearson, the questions are by Pearson, Pearson grades it. I want the STAR test gone. Robin Hood. I would like for Robin Hood to be gone. That's more of a core decision, but I would like if I could. I'm hoping they'll kick it back to the legislature after the decision comes down at the end of June, because then you know what? More of your money stays here. Local control. The Board of Trustees is supposed to be a representative of you. All 127 square miles of you. And our hands are so tied by the state that sometimes we don't get to do, the board I don't think gets to do that the way they want to. So those are just a couple things I do.
Thank you. Same question for Fairooz Adams.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What would LISD want from the legislature in 2017?
Sure, I think that an issue that a lot of our teachers have, and this is not just our districts, across the state and across the country, is that we have so many burdens that are put on teachers. I think that teachers should have more freedom to teach. I agree that we should get rid of the STAR test. I think we should get rid of a lot of tests. You know, when you look at these international tests that say that the United States is behind all these other countries, but then you look at those countries, you never see Mark Zuckerberg, you never see Bill Gates from those countries. So America has been very successful in encouraging innovation with the kind of schools that we have. So I'm not interested in meeting those kinds of standards. I'm interested in the kinds of standards that we have already in place that have allowed our students to be successful. You know, this century, past century has been an American century, and I sound like Marco Rubio, but I think this century is going to be one too. Because of our innovation, because of our ability to create new technologies. And that's not something we're going to be able to achieve by trying to meet these national, state, national, international standards. We'll have to allow innovation in our schools. We have to allow teachers to teach. And we don't want undue burdens on them that will prevent them from doing so.
Thank you. Same question, Catherine Sells.
Well, I agree with Ms. Prosnick and the others up here. I don't believe we should have Common Core in our schools. I believe that Pearson needs to go. We've actually been to Austin and tried to talk to some of our representatives about that. I would also like to see our funding back to where it was before it started being reduced. So Robin Hood, we need to fight against it. But at the core of that is, I believe, what Dr. Rogers believes is where we've kind of hit the bump, and that is our relationship with our legislatures and with Austin. I believe that we need to build a strong relationship. We have, Dr. Rogers will say that we've had this teacher mindset where we just need to be here and do, you know, the teaching, but what we need to do is we need to bridge that gap. We need to wear that road out during legislative session. When they're not, we need to go down and talk to TEA. I mean, we need to build those relationships so that they actually listen to us. I will tell you, I just attended one of our national conventions, and our legislature's representative told us, you're not loud enough. You don't talk loud enough. We don't hear you. And that's troublesome to me.
Thank you. Same question, Will Person.
I think the best thing that we could get from Boston is more local control, the ability to be able to make decisions not on a statewide basis, but on what's important to us in Louisville Independent School District. That would be the biggest thing that we could get. Plus, maybe we could even get a little bit of money to pay down some of our debt.
Thank you. Now for the closing statements, we'll begin in reverse order. And so we would begin with Jenny Crosby.
Thank you. Thank you so much, the Flower Mound and Highland Village Area Republican Club, for having us out tonight. I think these kind of forums are really important. Talking about the district is truly one of my favorite things to do. And I hope that tonight I learned a little bit of what's important to you. I hope that by my answers, you have discovered that I'm the best choice for place 5 on the LISD board. I have put the time in over the last 2.5 years building those relationships. I know every board member by name and they know mine. I know every senior staff member and they know mine because I've been there building those relationships. No one has to tell me what happened at a board meeting last year or something that's coming up because I was there asking the questions, listening, and building that relationship. We have a common goal among our 13 cities, and I think it's time that we, as the LISD, had a better relationship so that we could plan with those cities of things that affect the district and things that the district does that affects the cities. My name is Jenny Prosnick. I'm running for place 5 on the LISD school board, and I ask for your vote. Thank you so much for having me out tonight.
Thank you. Allison, your son,
Thank you so much for all of you coming out. It's really encouraging to see so many people taking involvement in local politics. But one of the things I just want to reiterate again, I just really feel strongly that I want to make sure every child, from the children in special ed to the children that are in the gifted and talented program and all of them in between, feel valued and they get a top-notch education. And I also want to make sure that the teachers have the tools they need to do that. And over the years, I have built many relationships through working in local government. Through the PTA, I have been involved in 4 different PTAs within the district and met just a wide variety of people. And through my church, Treach Methodist Church across the street. And I am ready to use those relationships and create more to build up LISD. I have a servant's heart, and I'm really ready to work for your children in LISD. And I would thank you so much and be honored to have your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Will Person, your 2 minute closing.
Thank you, Richard, for all the work that you did putting this forum on. I appreciate it, the chance to get out and meet more people. I listened to some of the excuses that Jenny brought up, but that's all they are is excuses. For example, the few people that are going to use the facility, relatively few people, they're not going to wear out the facility. The kids that are there are going to wear out 90% of the facility. The kids maybe, the citizens maybe 5 or 10%. I think we can easily afford that. I think it'll make, if the policy is changed, I think it'll make more people interested in living in Flower Mound. The realtors would be happy. The taxpayers would be happy because there'd be more people paying taxes. And it really gets down to, with the facilities being locked, it not only keeps the tax-paying public out of them, but it keeps the kids themselves out of it. And it's the kids that we're educating now that are going to be the leaders of Flower Mound and the citizens and the taxpayers for the next 20 or 30 or 40 years. And so we're denying them the ability to go after school and kick a soccer ball around, or on the weekends, or during the summer especially. As far as tearing up the track, there are artificial tracks these days, and they don't get torn up. You can use them and use them and use them, and they're not torn up every day. So I think we owe it to the kids themselves to give them a place, to get them off this. What are they going to do? Go down to the pool hall or go over to the football field and kick soccer balls around? I think we want them on the football field kicking soccer balls around. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Person. Same question, you're 2 minute closing, Dr. Silva.
Well, you heard of my business experience before, but I wanted to let you know a little bit about what I've done in LISD. I'm currently the Council of PTAs president. I deal with all of our PTAs in this district, and I have, and I'm proud of what we've done this year. I've never asked a single one of my PTA presidents or any of my leaders to do anything that I don't walk the walk with them. I've spent my weekends in IRS revocation seminars this year. I'm proud to say that our PTA that was in revocation is now getting out of revocation. We have fulfilled that duty. I left my office today because I got a distress call from a PTA president today, and I went and left my office, and I went and sat on a parking lot, and I had about an hour and a half conversation with somebody who had just gotten a resignation from a PTA president, and leading her in directing a meeting and giving her hope and telling her that we need to remember our priorities, and even though PTA is important, that we need to remember that this is about educating our kids, this is about our families, this is about our country, and that we need to put our priorities in order and to breathe. And so I do that. I'm on the LISD leadership team. I am a mentor, and I will tell you that's my greatest blessing. My dad is a high school dropout. He's never gotten his GED. And it impacted every day of my life because I see the value of education. I was born the first house on the wrong side of the tracks back in 1962. That has impacted everything I do. I serve children all over the world. I have worked with schools and getting them started in Nairobi, Kenya. I have handed out water filters to school children in Nairobi, Kenya, in an unsafe area where I knew there were guns on me. I serve children all over the world, and more importantly, I serve my community and the kids here. They are my greatest asset. Thank you.
Thank you. Fairooz Adams, your 2 minute closing, please.
Thank you again to the Flower Mound Republican Club, Flower Mound Area Republican Club, event organizers, participants, and also the audience. Over the course of this campaign, I've been fortunate enough to have had one-on-one conversations with many parents, teachers, and community members, and former students. And I found that they all admire the work that the board has done. And this is one of the finest districts in the state and arguably in the entire nation. We've turned out a lot of very talented, very sharp role changes right here. Even so, we must admit that throughout the years there have been some missteps. We need to return to fiscal responsibility. We need to restrict ourselves from imposing unnecessary burdens on teachers that prevent them from teaching. And we need someone on the board that can help guide the decision-making process to eliminate the guesswork that's inevitably involved when you've been, removed from school for a certain number of years. I have seen district initiatives that have worked. I've seen district initiatives that have not worked. In a globalized age when people now compete not only with each other, but across the world for the same jobs, it is fitting that our education has gone a revamping. At the same time, our changes have to be tempered. We have to avoid overreaction, and we must adhere to the principle of fiscal responsibility. And as someone that's spent over a decade in the district, going through elementary, middle, and high school, and someone that has been involved in district politics for many years, I think that I'm uniquely qualified for that job. But it's going to be a community effort. And our community needs all of you guys to turn out. And only then will we be able to realize the district's motto of meeting real innovation with limitless opportunity. And that's why I'm Fairooz Adams, and I'm running for the school board. I'm counting on your vote on May 7th.
Thank you, LIC candidate.